So Ken put me in charge in March of 2010.
So he was fired.
He was fired, yeah. Ken put me in charge in March of 2010. Next week, it was based in New York, so I'm in New York. Next week comes back and says, "All right, what should we do?" I said, "Ken, we should shut this business down today." And he got nuts. Actually, he got nuts. I'll give you a better example. I'll give you the mortgage example in a second. We fought about this for a year.
You want to shut down? And
I want to shut down.
No.
You never let me down before. Make this business successful. I can't make. If you hired Boyd Blankfein to run this business, he couldn't make it successful. It's just not possible.
Yeah, bad business model.
Right. So we wound up shutting it down. We lost a lot of money, and I think he appreciated that. I stood my ground. But the better example may be the mortgage origination business. So in 2005 or 6, we bought a subprime originator out of bankruptcy. This one called Resume. And we hired a guy to run it, and it was a complete and utter disaster. It was subprime, so
they were originating subprime, hold to sell.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we went in there and we looked and said, "All right, your underwriting process, you're changing this." Ken wanted me to build a system to automate everything, similar to what we talked about with Ditech, how do you automate all this stuff away. So we're starting to build out the systems. But as I'm digging into what they're doing, they didn't care. They just wanted to create volume for the sake of volume. They didn't care about the quality of the volume they were creating. So I would fight with the head of the origination business all the time because he just wanted volume, and I said, "No, we have investors. I got to protect our."
You want to continue to go?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
You done?
I'm not done. I'm just going to play with it.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
Can I have an espresso?
Mm-hmm. What kind of double or
double?
single?
Yeah, double.
Double.
Same. I'll have one of those. Yep.
Okay. You done?
I'm done. Thank you.
So finally, I convinced Ken. This business is a complete and utter disaster.
So I'm sorry. Let's just step back from it. So you bought this business out of bankruptcy on the theory that you can fix it, and you were going to fix it by putting in technology so they can originate
very
efficiently and quality business.
Right. So we have great underwriting engines.
Right. So you came in to put the technology in.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And the business people didn't want that because what they wanted to do is just
give volume. They
more volume you put through.
Quality was not
some suckers on the other end who's buying it from us. What do we care? So as time went on, and I started to explain to Ken, this is just not a business that we want to be in reputationally. He was like, "All right, tell me why." And I gave him all poor underwriting, your personal reputational risk. The market's slowing down, so our outs for this product, there's no out. Where are we going to sell this stuff? Because as we got into 2007, the market started really compressing, right? So we fired the guy who ran. I convinced him we're going to fire the guy who runs the business, and we went in there and we shut it down. And I personally underwrote every remaining loan.
So you shut it down before the...
Yes, we shut it down in 07. Yes. And had we left it running, they probably would have... So at that point, we had originated... The last month that the guy was running, he had originated $300 million. So $300 million of crap. So we securitized it, but we had a tough time even selling that securitization. Had we left it going, he probably would have done another $1 billion before the end of the year. So we would have been sitting with $1 billion worth of toxic waste.
And you had a warehouse line, I take it.
Yes. Yeah. So we would have been sitting with this toxic waste.
Most of the people lost a lot of money on the warehouse lines.
Yes.
Because they got stuck.
Actually,
I'll bring the container. This is absent.
No, I'm not going to eat it though. I'm not going to eat it.
So plate is here.
That's okay. Just take
can
that.
Eat it.
Good. Thank you.
Nope.
I put it in the container when you go in the room.
Okay.
Take it.
Okay.
Soon.
Unfortunately.
So how did you convince Ken? What was it that you told them that made the difference?
So So he's a very fact-based person. So myself, a guy that worked for me, this guy Randall.
Beautiful.
He worked at City also. Thank you. He worked at City also. We just did a bunch of analysis. Here's the risk we're running. Here's the positions we're building. Here's the quality underwriting we're doing. Here's how quickly we're selling these, which we're not. And we just went in with all the facts. And he said, shut it down. Shut it down. But he was passionate about the business because he had spent the prior 2 years building mortgage analytic models. Fortunately, he built these models where he knew more about the mortgage market than anybody, except he didn't do the trade. John Paulson did the trade, he didn't do the trade. But he knew everything. We had so much
He
data.
knew what was coming.
He knew it was coming. Yep. But we didn't do the trade, unfortunately, because that would have been a good thing to have done. But it was all fact-based. Unlike what I've seen in some corporations, where they want like PowerPoints and lots of form over substance. He'll take a PowerPoint presentation and rip it apart to find the facts. And then he'll say, all right, this is what we're going to talk about, because this is the fact of this. The rest of this is fluff. And I don't have time or energy to talk about fluff. So don't try and sell me. Try and make me understand. And if you make them understand, then...
But he was not an expert at everything. So was
he's an expert at a lot of stuff, yeah, but he's a knowledge guy, so he learns. But I'll give you an example of learning, and this is an argument I have.
I guess what I was going to go is, in some areas where he didn't know, how did he seek advice? How did he, or did he?
No, he did. He'd seek advice by demanding you come in and explain to him. So I'll give you an example of how he did it. So, complex firm in the market making business, we have servers all over the world in each one of the venues of execution. So probably 50 locations we have servers running to do the executions around the world. Ken wants to understand the network topology. So how do we actually connect all this stuff together? What's it cost to connect them? What type of hardware we have? So the guy Mike that works for me draws out the whole topology of all these sites and every network connection, who the vendor is, how much you pay, what the speed of the connection is. Ken starts yelling at us, this is too expensive, so we go connection by connection. He wants to understand it at that level, connection by connection.
And he had the time to do that.
He didn't have the time, he had the interest, because he knew if he understood this, he could apply that learning somewhere else. Because he wanted to understand, if his whole market-making business is based around technology, how do I understand these gives and takes that were decisions we're making in technology, so I can better drive that business to be successful? So not only are we talking about cost of each connection, at the time there were different types of network switches. There were the old telecom switches, and then there were the Ethernet switches. So this guy Mike says, well, here we have the old telecom switches. They're very expensive. We're going to replace those with faster Ethernet lines at a cheaper price. So Ken goes, tell me how a switch works. Mike goes, well, you plug a wire in, data goes in, data comes out. No, tell me what goes on inside the box. We spent 2 days explaining networking to Ken. 2 days.
Because he's interested in learning.
Right. But that helped him do two things. It helped him make a decision about our networking infrastructure, which that was the original purpose of the meeting, was to get him to agree to what we're spending on the network infrastructure. But it helped to make decisions about how we invest in the market-making business to make that more profitable. So, in this case, what started off as, you guys are wasting my money, you're spending too much money on networking, by actually factually walking through every point of the network, teaching him to a point where he understood, it flipped around the other way, where he said, well, how do we actually invest more to get more productivity out of our business? So, I think that what I've seen with CEOs of companies I've worked at, or senior management, is they don't want to understand enough to make a decision. They just want to get, how do I make this decision quickly without having to really think hard? And therefore, they can't be making the right decision unless of course